For my project, I decided to research the differing views on birth control. Birth control is an important part of all sexually active people's lives, and many people have strong opinions on the subject, as shown in this French commercial. I'm going to discuss the secular, Christian, and scientific views on birth control. Start off with the secular. The questions that are asked for in the secular world about birth control is: how effective does this form of birth control work? How does it work with my lifestyle, and am I comfortable using this form? Birth control is very stressed, especially in our society, and any option is a good option. It's important to have safe sex in all ways to prevent pregnancy and to keep an individual STD free. 98% of women claim to use birth control in their reproductive years, and the number is actually much less for men, showing that pregnancy prevention is the main reason for birth control and safe sex. There are many different kinds of birth control, like condoms and oral contraception, also depot shots and other hormone injections. Birth control is advertised as a normal part of life and very important for women to be on and to use. And then there are many different kinds that are very publicly shown in everyday life, and it's also advertised as to be a hassle. And so there's new products that show that there are easier ways to prevent pregnancy.
Monthly vaginal ring that delivers a continuous low dose of hormones. It's as effective as the pill, but you don't have to take it every day. NuvaRing is not for everyone. Serious risks include blood clots, stroke, or heart attack. NuvaRing is not for women with a history of these conditions. Some studies suggest that the progestin in NuvaRing may increase the risk for blood clots. Smoking increases cardiovascular risks, especially in women over 35. NuvaRing users should not smoke. NuvaRing also is not for women with certain cancers or those who may be pregnant. It does not protect against HIV and other STDs. So say goodbye to the old song and dance, and hello to NuvaRing. Learn more about NuvaRing right now. Go to NuvaRing.com or ask your doctor. NuvaRing, break free from the pack.
This is one of the ads that shows how difficult it should. Wow. 1, 2, 3. This ad shows how women find it frustrating to have to take a pill every day to prevent birth and pregnancy. So it shows that a once monthly ring would be much easier than taking one every single day. There's also much scientific research on the topic, and the questions asked about that is this form of birth control safe, and will it have any long-lasting or long-term effects? All prescription drugs have risks, and birth control is a prescription drug, so of course it does have many serious risks.
Joshua Vogel with Carolina OBGYN, a division of Wilmington Health Associates. I'd like to talk to you today about health risks of birth control pills. There are two primary risks associated with starting birth control pills: elevated blood pressure and adverse cardiovascular events. The details of the cardiovascular events would include stroke and deep venous thrombosis or blood clots. All three of these effects, elevated blood pressure, strokes, and blood clots, are quite uncommon, but certainly potentially very significant. When considering starting on a birth control pill, it would be very important to review any personal, of course, or family history of a large number of family members with these kinds of problems that might suggest an increased risk for yourself. However, again, these are extremely rare occurrences. It is important to consider, obviously, the consequences can be disastrous, but your healthcare provider should be able to help you determine if these risks are significant for you and if birth control pills are a good choice for you. This has been a discussion of risks of taking birth control pills.
There are also many misconceptions about birth control concerning oral contraception. 21% of women think that the pill can cause infertility, though there's no scientific research to back this up. And though there are some connections between hormones and breast cancer, there is no concrete research to show that the birth control pill does cause it. But most doctors encourage that if you have hormone problems or any family history of breast cancer, you are not on the pill. The Christian view of birth control varies much between different denominations, but the questions that are asked is, does this form cause a fetal death or an abortion? Would this form of birth control disrupt the way a woman's body was created to act? And what does my church teach about the subject? Many Christians believe that some forms of birth control are acceptable to be used, such as natural birth control and barrier methods. They believe that because this does not cause an abortion or hurt the woman's body, they think these are definitely acceptable methods. And then there are potentially abortive forms of birth control, like oral contraception or the pill, and many Christians have problems with these. And there is some scientific research that shows that a fertilized egg could be terminated while being on the pill, but it's not concrete research. And then some Christians are concerned that because the pill stops the natural ovulation cycle of the woman, it is disrupting the way God created them to be, that God had a plan for the woman's body to refresh every month, and that when the pill stops this, it stops God's plan. And then people also believe that the birth control goes against God's will, because in Genesis 1:28 there is the command to be fruitful and multiply. The way this is taken differently is some believe that it was discussed as a command, and then others believe that it was a blessing. Because if it was a command, there would be a problem for those that are barren or choose to be single throughout their lives, so it would not necessarily line up with other parts of Scripture. And then the Catholic Church is the most well-known church that is against birth control. The Catholic Church believes that all sexual activity should be to produce a child, and that any other would be referred as sexual gluttony. Some churches agree with them, but most churches believe that it is a personal decision, and that you need to use biblical principles to decide what is right for you and what you believe. The sources I used for this was a sermon by Pastor Mark Driscoll of Mars Hill Church. I used birth control article from Catholics.com. I interviewed Nellie Solwash and Christine Hogan, and I found an article in the Washington Post called "More Women Opting Against Birth Control Studies Find." Thank you.